Oh. Well, I'm not even gonna try to hit you. I'm gonna miss it.
Really? All I have is back rollers and diggers, which I don't know what it does.
What?
There's no
Oh
need
my
to
god,
feel
that's
down. I
literally
said,
retarded.
young man, pick yourself off the ground. I said, young man, cause you're in a new town. There's no need to be unhappy, young man.
How's it going, guys? It is me, Mark, again, and today we are back, of course, for another review. I think this is our second review for the month of February. It is our multiplayer review, as we tend to do at least one multiplayer game every month or so. And today is a kind of interesting one, and I actually can't wait to show you what I got in store. But before we actually get into the game we're reviewing today, go check out our website. Description is down below. It really helps us out a lot. We have a diverse group of games that might interest you if you want to go take a little look-sees. And of course, we're going to have the Steam link in the description below. We always do encourage you to buy the games we are reviewing, because that's really the goal of our project. It's how change for the games happens, by you buying it, reviewing it, or making some notes to developers. That really helps out a lot too for the game and the developers. And just want to make that disclaimer today. And the game we are reviewing today is, we've kind of reviewed a similar type of game to this today, and in Stick Fight, the game, if you want to go there, check that out. It is in our website. Another self-advertisement. But today we are reviewing Shell Shock Live, and of course you might be asking, what is Shell Shock Live? Well, Shell Shock Live is a multiplayer strategy-based game with movable and firepower-ready tanks. The objective of the game is to destroy the enemy team tanks or your opponent tanks and be the sole team left. By leveling up your tanks and ability through XP, it makes it a grind-worthy game, even including with its simplistic single-player and action-packed multiplayer. Players who do get the game may find hours spent alone or with your friends battling out to achieve the title as the sole survivor and ultimate tank fighter. So the basis of the game is you're a tank, you can move every once in a while, and the objective, like I said, is to eliminate all players off of the map. Kind of like in the sense where I was trying to comparison to Stick Fight in that sense. As per usual, we do have positives, negatives, and even neutrals to talk about the game. And right before we get into that, I can't emphasize it enough. Go to this, if you want to get the game or interested at all because of the review, go to the Steam link down below. It should lead you to the game and buy it, or take a little looks around the photos to see if it intrigues you. And of course, make sure to visit our website. It helps us out a lot. And let's get right into the game. Of course, we're going to be talking about the positives of the game, and I found a lot of positives in the game. And another quick disclaimer, Daniel did get this game too, and he played it a little bit, and he absolutely hated it. I don't really get why. I guess this game is not his cup of tea. It really triggered him a lot of times in the mechanics and how the game went down. So a little disclaimer out there. But there are a lot of positives that I personally liked about the game. The first thing I noticed when me and Daniel entered in a custom game is that the weapon variety in this game is so large, it's actually crazy. It takes forever, especially if you're playing for the first time, looking at the weapons and discovering what they do. A lot of the times in my first game, I was just testing out the types of weapons to see what they actually do. And I was really impressed with the amount of weapons, and each are so different in the way that your tank, when it fires, that you don't really know what it's gonna do, and there's so much diversity among the weapons that I don't even know if they're weapons, but the shots or whatever, what the tank fires. There's a lot of things to explore in this game, and that's the first thing that really popped out at me. And through that, I really found that this game can be really fun, in the sense that it's sometimes completely random and you really know what happens, and it can be really lucky towards you or really unlucky towards you, and that unpredictability, I don't know, gives that edge to the game in a way. And that's something that I also noticed, and it either can turn you off or it can turn you to like the game even more, and I guess that's what happened to me too. Like I talked about with the randomness of the game, that sometimes it can just change the game in a flash, and you don't really know what's gonna happen. And I don't know, that ambivalence of every single time you're taking turns or you're just waiting for a turn, you don't really know what's gonna happen to your tank or what's gonna happen in the game. And I don't know, it gives it that cutting edge, or not even that cutting edge, that that moment of you don't really know what is about to happen, I guess. And I guess that's good to have in a game. The suspense really builds. Something that I also liked about the game is leveling up actually has some reason to do it. In some games I've noticed, especially we've been reviewing, there's really no point in leveling up, but in this game, leveling up is crucial because it can increase the amount of damage and type of weapons you have to fire with your tank, the more armor your tank has, or type of drop-ins that appear throughout the game. So leveling up actually is worth it, and it can create a somewhat grindy feel to the game, which is sometimes good and bad to have. But I do like leveling up. It actually has a reason to do it, like I said before. It can even really help out with the upgrades, and the upgrades are really helpful as well. And that's why I say that leveling up has a reason to do it. It can really help you up, and as you gain levels and experience, you'll see that the game gets even more fun and even better, and even probably more enjoyable to do as you are before you start out in the game. There is even a tutorial at the start of the game, and I also have to mention this in the negatives later on, and I'll explain why, but a tutorial is nice to have. It's always nice that early access game to explain what you're doing, kind of. And I just wanted to explain that, or point that out. This game even has a global chat feature in the menu, and I was actually really impressed for an early access game to have a global chat like that in the menu. I know this game it was out for quite a while, but still, it's kind of impressive that it has a global chat. I haven't really seen an early access game that I've noticed that has like a global chat, truly global chat, like Shellshock Live has, and I don't know, it's something to point out there. It may intrigue you while you're waiting for a game and just chat with random people, or get an opinion, or just troll. It's nice to have. There are also other games that when you first get them, there are really not a lot of lobbies to join from, or you have to create your own game and wait for people to join your lobby. But in this game, there are so many lobbies, custom games, and even tournaments that I was just shocked in the sense that I'm like, oh my god, there's so many lobbies, I really don't know what to choose from. And a lot of them were full, but it didn't even matter because there are other lobbies that I could have just joined easily, and I found a game in a matter of minutes. And yes, sometimes you do have to wait a while for those lobbies to fill up, and I guess that is a downside, but I don't know, I was just impressed with the amount of people that actually are investing their time in this game. Something I do also want to point out, that this game does require quite a bit of aim and trial and error type ability, and if you're not really good with, you know, guess and check or try and fail, that kind of thing, maybe this isn't the game for you, because there is even quite a lot of aim, and it has to be really precise, and a lot of luck too in order to hit your opponents. Sometimes you're going to get shots that should be in your way, but then there's a random shield or black hole that goes away, so you're going to have that endurance and to play this game, that patience and ability not to get that mad, something that Daniel didn't really have. But I'm just saying, this is like another sniper simulator game where there is quite a bit of aim that is required, as it is a strategy game too. And in the game, you could on the top right in the menu, you could say what patch the developers are working on and what they're planning to do next. And it's nice to know that developers are actually, they still care about the game and investing their own time, working really hard on the next patch, and they're actually investing in this game. And I don't know, it's just nice to know that developers do actually care about the game and do care about what people have to say about the game. Those are all the positives I wanted to mention and the things I liked about the game, and now it is time to get into the neutrals. And there are some neutrals that I want to talk about, and remember, neutrals aren't really bad things, they're just things I kind of just want to blurt out there. The graphics and the soundtrack in the game, I mean, they're fine, there's nothing's wrong with them, and there's not really anything I could really criticize, but they're just kind of meh. It does its job. It's kind of like war battle soundtrack every time you're in a game, and it's nothing bad, but there's nothing that makes it stand out. The graphics aren't really particularly spectacular as well, but for this type of game it doesn't really have to be either, so they're just meh, but nothing wrong with them. Like I said before, the multiplayer is really fun, and I can see how you can spend hours just playing multiplayer with friends and stuff like that, but the single player is basically the tutorial in the game. The single player actually teaches you a lot of what the different kind of weapon shots, what do they do. It also helps you with your aim and get you used to the game and know what's the game about and how everything kind of works. And the tutorial doesn't really explain that. But the multiplayer is fun, I'm just pointing that out. This is more of a disclaimer as well. If you get like easily triggered and get mad at things and don't really have a patience to wait out, like in strategy games, sometimes you just have to sit around, wait, or fine with like completely random things that happen. Be able to adapt the games itself, and like completely random things are gonna happen. If you're not be able to keep up with the stress of that or get really mad at that, I wouldn't really recommend getting this game, because I would think it would be a waste of money. Like Daniel had to return the game, and it's kind of sad to say it, but he did not enjoy that kind of game where he thought it was utter BS. And I'm just saying, if you get mad like that, I wouldn't get the game. But moving on, that's kind of all I wanted to mention in terms of neutrals, and now it is time to get into the negatives, or I guess you can call this what they could improve upon for Shell Shock Live. And there are some things I want to mention as well. The first thing I want to repeat, Daniel wanted me to mention, is the unbalanced and random things that could happen to you or to your opponent, which is, I would say it's a good thing, it gives you that cutting edge, but he didn't really like how sometimes his shot, which should have hit, didn't hit, and really got him frustrated, and I guess that led to him kind of not liking the game as much, as not going his way. So as I mentioned a little bit before, don't get this game if you're triggered by that. Now I get to talk about the tutorial, as I've been hinting towards this entire review. The tutorial is literally utterly, I would say, useless. It doesn't really teach you anything. It basically teaches you the controls, and that's basically all the tutorial does. And the single player is what actually teaches you what's going on in the game, what are the type of weapons, what they do, and kind of how you're supposed to play, and improve your aim and get yourself really accustomed to the game. The tutorial doesn't really explain anything. It's like the shortest tutorial of all time. It's like a minute long. And really, how I discovered to play the game wasn't even through the single player, through a custom game, a multiplayer game, which is fine too. But I feel like the tutorial should also like be able to explain more of what the game has and reveal a little more, so you can be like better prepared. So I would say this game is a lot even more based on its multiplayer than its single player, because the single player is the tutorial, and honestly in multiplayer I would say you will do just fine and learn through that. I already kind of mentioned this indirectly, but playing single player is really the only way how you actually know how to play the game, which I guess counters the point of having a tutorial. Having a tutorial is actually supposed to explain how you're supposed to play the game. But if you're doing it through single player, then I wouldn't really even have a tutorial to begin with. It's just a big waste of time. But then again, that's just my opinion. Even some of the missions on single player, I personally think are really just pointless. There's really no point in having them. I don't know if I have footage of this. If I do, I'm going to put it up. But literally, some of the objectives of some of the single player missions is to hit a target, boom, you're done. And that doesn't really even help me to get better at the game, I guess. It just kind of annoying in the sense that I just have to do it. It becomes more of a job than a desire to do it, I guess. And I don't know, I just feel like you can make single player levels a little more like interesting and worthy of actually playing. There is something I noticed throughout our custom game. I don't really know if this is just for a custom game, but when I was playing with Daniel, sometimes there was a shield that appeared at the back, and it would just rebound the shot onto the player, or sometimes it wouldn't rebound onto the player. And I guess that's kind of where the kind of ambivalence of the game kind of got to the point a little frustrating, where you would think there's a shield and would rebound onto Daniel, but it really wouldn't. Or Daniel was expecting to get a rebound shot out to me, but the shield wasn't there. I don't know, that's just something I wanted to point it out, and I think you can see it through this clip, but sometimes it was a little triggering. The main problem I have with this game is that the multiplayer is perfectly fine, it's fantastic, and it's really enjoyable, but the single player and tutorial are just, I would say, completely useless. I guess this game isn't really going to be renowned or known for its single player, but a lot of games are, to be fair, are not really known for their single player. So just, I would say, play this for your multiplayer game, and I would say if you get this game, make sure another friend gets it, because it's going to be a lot more enjoyable than playing with completely random people, I would say. Overall, Shell Shock Live can be a game where hours are spent on the multiplayer games, and if it even hits its intended audience. With its diverse game types and with multiple friends buying the game, this can be an action-packed game which everyone can have a laugh at its failure or their failure or their success in the game. But with its frustration in the games, with its underwhelming single player, it can drive off a couple potential buyers or long-time players. However, I do think that the fun in multiplayer will outweigh the negatives I have mentioned. That's why I'm going to be giving a Shell Shock Live a 7 out of 10. And part of the reason is that it can improve upon a couple of things, but it is actually can be a really fun game if you actually have some friends on or even alone. So that's why I'm going to give Shell Shock Live a 7 out of 10. And of course, I do recommend you guys buying the game. But that is really everything I can talk about for Shell Shock Live. I do hope that I convince you to buy the game through this review, or at least be aware before you do buy. If you do want to check out the game below, and of course I do encourage you to get the game, the Steam link is of course in the description below, or if you're on the website, it's going to be in the article link too, to see if you're interested in the game. And of course, check out our website, and the description is down below. It really helps us out. And of course, I do hope you do buy the game and enjoy the game if you do get it. And have a great day. Thanks for watching the review. And I will see you in the next review, and have a great day, guys.